Hello everyone, I'm really excited about this video. This is my very first Q&A. Really grateful to the people who submitted questions. I was kind of feeling a bit insecure. Wasn't sure if anybody was actually going to submit questions, but we actually ended up with quite a few. Let's just get straight into it, shall we? First question, why did you decide to enroll in the Icon Online versus their LA program? The main reason I did that is because I live in Canada. And I mean, you can go there on a student visa, but basically how the timing worked out for me leaving the military was kinda the first summer after all the COVID restrictions. I was really close to seeing if I could make it work, and I honestly probably could have. And so yeah, the decision to do that was kind of made for me, which is great because that means no regrets, no wondering if I should have gone there. It's just what was meant to happen for me. All right, next question. When are you releasing new music? I actually did just release my remix of Tiesto's track, The Business, with a really amazing visualizer. I'm really excited about these visuals. I think it gives the track a unique branded look that's memorable. As for original music, I actually promised myself at the beginning of the year that I would remove the pressure to release any music. And this has me actually exploring a whole bunch of different genres and a whole bunch of different avenues that I never thought I would before. I was placing a lot of pressure on myself to make one genre. And so by doing this, it just feels right. I feel like I'm naturally heading down a path to create the music that I really want to create. I have been working on tons and tons of music. My main focus is writing and finishing music right now, but rest assured, new music always on the way. Where did you get the idea for your logo? This is an interesting question. I feel like this is like what came first, like the chicken or the egg. If I remember correctly, I knew I wanted a hummingbird. I have found online after searching, like just searching random art, random hummingbird art, and I had seen a whole bunch of tattoos that had this really amazing geometry style art to it. And so I think I came across this one hummingbird that just had a whole bunch of these different colored like squares and rectangles, and I thought it looked really cool, but it was just like a million different colors and super vibrant. And so all of a sudden just came to me, oh my god, like I should get that tattoo idea, but for my logo with all these different geometric shapes. Hummingbirds have always been something that have fascinated me. You know, they're the only bird that can hover and fly backwards. They're the only bird that like eagles won't even mess with. You know, they're just too small and too fast. I remember reading this thing once that said something like, you know, when you see a hummingbird, it's almost as if time literally stands still. And in that moment, you see it, it kind of zooms in, you see it, all the colors are flashing because the wings are moving so fast, and then before you know it, it zooms off and you can barely keep track of it. They're almost elusive and mysterious and beautiful. And so I just knew that that was going to be my logo. I sent all those ideas of the stuff that I was researching to my graphic designer, Matthew Dewar. Amazing guy, amazing graphic designer. This guy just locks down your vision and he just knows what you want. And then of course, the name Elated, it just made sense. I don't know, it just made sense to go with an artist name like Elated. I think I actually might have just been searching, like, you know, hummingbird, floating free of time, like, what are the feelings you get when you see one? Like, kind of just going off that vibe. And then as soon as I saw Elated, you know, past tense, make somebody happy or jubilant, in high spirits, I was like, come on. That's meant to be. Find yourself a good graphic designer. Find yourself somebody who knows what they're doing and will listen to your vision. Just don't settle. A good graphic designer is just gonna keep working with you to really bring your vision to life. Do you have a favorite track you've made? I mean, that's kind of a loaded question considering a lot of my tracks are collaborations with vocalists, but I would have to say that at the times, the stories behind my tracks are exactly what I needed at that time. What I would say though is I feel like I really turned a corner with my collaboration with Brooke Tomlinson called Breathe. That marked a whole new style for me with a more kind of EDM, harder intro that evolves into a trance main drop. That track really holds a special place in my heart, especially because she nailed the story behind the track. The track is all about believing in yourself. It's all about self-empowerment and self love and just going for things, going for your dreams, even though you're in the eye of the storm. You just gotta keep going and you just gotta breathe. Favorite basic shape on synths? Producer question, obviously. If you're not a producer, different sounds in a synthesizer create different shapes. If you actually zoom into the audio on a recorded sound, you will see the shape of that audio. So basically that whole concept has been broken down. You actually take those shapes, put them into a synthesizer, and then you can manipulate the sound that way. For me personally, coming from the trance world, I love a saw wave. Recently, I'm all about the square waves, but actually I've been finding some of these emulated sounds. So taking old school synthesizers, recording the audio, and then using that in a software synth. And you get all sorts of different fun shapes out of those sounds, which produce very unique tones that I've been using in my production for my melodic techno remixes and tracks. Has it ever felt like you were too advanced for Icon? Is Icon worth it for experienced artists? For me, I was taking music production seriously for about 5 years. Obviously, I have a really big collaboration, but the thing is, even in that collaboration, it was actually my melody that caught the artist's attention. The track production, as well as, kind of really just enhancing everything, was done by Paul Van Dyke. I just felt like I couldn't call myself a professional music producer. I really craved a structure. I really craved just something that would set me up to fill in all the missing gaps of my producing foundation that is pretty well self-taught. I'm going into level 4, so I'm halfway done the program right now. And I would say that although I do know a lot of the stuff, it's the little tiny things that I'm picking up along the way that are making an absolute huge difference in my tracks. I could have probably tested out of a few things, but I thought, you know what, even if I pick up 0.5% of a bit of new knowledge, it's worth it. Because implementing that into my tracks right away makes such a big difference. And I've noticed that over and over and over and over again as I've progressed through the course so far. How does your flow start? So Icon Collective is really heavy on mentality, on following your intuition, following your heart, not getting stuck in one specific genre. And they do something called the Art of Flow. It's a class that they have. It kind of teaches you how to tap into that intuition. One of the exercises they have is drawing a mandala. And so the whole philosophy behind drawing a mandala is creating a piece of art, creating something from nothing, which is what we do as producers. We have an idea, we create from a blank, silent project. How I get into flow personally is I am huge on setting intentions. I will mentally prepare an intention for a day or two. If I get an idea in the morning, then I just stick with that idea and I get in the studio as fast as possible. I go, okay, scrap whatever I thought I was gonna do. This is what's come up. My intention is I'm gonna see where this idea goes. And honestly, I think that works really, really well. I'm not trying to force ideas. I'm not trying, I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm trying to conform the ideas in my brain to what's actually going on in Ableton, it becomes like a frustrating, oh, I can't get this. I get down on myself. So I just try to allow the ideas to come up. And then when I go to produce them out, I have no expectations on how the idea is going to turn out. And then I just try to do the next right thing, whatever feels right in the moment. Do you spend more than 12 hours a week on Icon coursework? To be honest, I don't really keep track, but I would probably say I'm spending anywhere between 6 to 10 hours right now total on everything, including homework. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, depending. Like the level 3 final, a live performance, as well as a pretty big sound design project. That week obviously took me a little longer. As the course goes on, it obviously is going to get more complicated. But other than that, I'm just working on music as much as possible. So to answer the question, no, I wouldn't say more than 12 hours on Icon coursework right now. How did you first balance learning music production with a full-time job? For me, it kind of came down to a couple things. I was partying a lot back in the day, and I really only DJ'd. I had only dabbled with music production, making mashups. And so I just conceded to myself. I knew I didn't want to stay in the military, so I just said, what are you going to do with this music thing? Are you actually going to give production a shot? And so I made a decision. I'm gonna go all out with this. I had a long conversation with my girlfriend and I said, you know what? I'm gonna give this my all and I'm gonna see what I can do with this music thing. And she was 100% supportive from the start. So it wasn't really a matter of balancing a full-time job. I was also a shift worker, which was pretty convenient for having full studio days when I was off. But it was more like music production was my full-time job, and I just went to work so I could pay my bills. It was a mentality flip, and it was that music is where I'm meant to be, and so that is what I'm giving my 100%. Why did you choose Icon versus other schools? The reason why I chose Icon is when I was researching schools, at the time, there was no other school that had as many successful artists coming out of it as Icon. One other school that I'm more impressed with nowadays is Cosmic Academy. I'm seeing quite a few artists come out of that school and become successful, but to be honest, Icon was the school for me. I knew it as soon as I found it. I actually toured a school in Vancouver, Canada called Nimbus, and the school was great. I have a friend who went there, but a large majority of their program was mixing engineer, studio engineer stuff. And that's not really what I wanted to do. Yeah, it was just the amount of successful artists, no place compared. And you know what? I got a hold of admissions probably about 2.5 years before I actually started the program. And the people at admissions kept in contact with me. I told them what was going on with my release from the military, and they regularly reached out to see how I was doing. They regularly asked if they could help with anything. And all the questions that I had about the program, they answered. And I'm the kind of person who will research something to the nth degree. Like, I want to know the ins and outs and every little detail about what I'm going to be getting taught. I do this with electronics, I do this with new programs, new plugins, all of it. I just really love to know as much as I possibly can, and they were so gracious and courteous to always answer. I truly feel like, especially with their Art of Flow class, just the mentality of the school and the way that they're teaching the future artist, it was just the right choice. All right, that concludes my very first Elated Q&A. Thank you all so much for submitting those questions. I hope that gave you a little bit of insight into my life and into my decision to go to Icon and just who I am as a producer and what I got going on. And yeah, I'm really grateful. The support that I've been receiving lately is just, it's something that I once dreamed of. And it's just really amazing to be aware of the process unfolding. A big part of being in the music industry is having the support of the fans, having the support of the people out there that vibe with what I'm doing. I got a lot of big plans for the future, a lot of music, a lot of pretty big projects. I'm thinking together, you know, we're gonna do some pretty great things. Thank you.